some of y'all are sitting up at that good job Googling functional medicine certifications. I know some of y'all are up in that ER, burnt the hell out, trying to figure out what the next step is going to be. I completely understand where you are. And the great thing about life and about us just as humans, as people, we keep evolving. We want to evolve to get better, not to get worse. And what I'm seeing is that people are pivoting from one side of health to another. And that's what we're going to talk about today. We are going to break down the great pivot and where do you fall in that pivot and how can you have the best desired outcome while some people are dramatically changing careers. I'm talking about folks usually come to me, I say usually when they're about 15, 20 years into their primary career, usually a physician, usually a dentist, hell, it could be an engineer, it could be somebody that completely, outside of health, but just understanding that there's something different that needs to happen in order for them to be fulfilled in life and for them to honestly be happy. These are folks with good jobs, y'all, that are like waking up some mornings and saying, I don't want to do this anymore. We got doctors saying, I don't want to go to the hospital anymore. We have folks saying, I can't clock in. I'm stressed. I'm burnt out. I'm tired. I'm checking in with you. If you see yourself or know that you're the exhausted clinician or maybe that corporate girl who knows so much about stress that now she's considering maybe being a health coach, or maybe the gym owner that's like, you know what? I can't keep working these people out if they really want to lose weight at this age. They need to reset their nervous system, do a parasite detox, and probably have a food sensitivity test and get some hormones. We all pivot. We all grow. We all change in our thinking. That is what is so amazing about being humans and about being who we are. So there's some key things that usually happen before we get to the point where we're like, fuck it, I want to quit. Stay with me here. Stay on the train with me here, because this happened to me. Usually we start to feel something in our body. If we're not satisfied in what we do every day, in our job, in our career, in our life, in our marriage, in our relationship, with our children, and certain things, especially if it's something that we do repetitively every day, like our job, you usually feel it in your body. And I'm saying acutely or chronically. My life coach, Noria, she always says, Lauren, whenever you realize that you are stressed or that you are feeling something, where do you feel it in your body? And I was like, okay, for me, it's in my neck and in my chest. I get hot and I'll be wanting to like cut a bitch. I want to slap a bitch like across her face, right? And I realize that in my body, and I know some certain techniques that I can do to reset my nervous system and bring myself back down. But what about chronically? So what I gave you was an acute scenario. When we're dealing with this nagging dissatisfaction with our day-to-day job, and it continues to grow and manifest itself in other areas of our life and in our body. People lose hair, people gain weight. Sometimes people become, emotionally distressed. Sometimes we go through grief. Sometimes we go through PTSD. When we realize we are misaligned with the system and it's not our calling, it shows up in our body. I'm gonna pause here for a moment. How many people that pivoted their job and realized if they had some physical distress that they were undergoing while they were in that scenario? I was in that scenario one time, and when I left that particular scenario, the physical distress I had, which showed itself mood issues I was having, definitely hair, definitely skin. And the moment I removed that dynamic and that environment from my life, all of those ailments started to shift. So you can't tell me right now that there's not a person out there who chose to pivot their career, change their job, and they didn't feel lighter or different or less stress or less agony or less feeling in their body. Burnout is real. When people say their adrenals are fried, that's a real thing. Cortisol is real. Chronic stress in the body is real. And when we are in positions and jobs where we're not aligned, especially when we're in health and wellness, where we're so closely attached to our clients and to what we do, we sometimes will stay in scenarios that don't serve us. Like, honestly, if we aren't happy and if we aren't being served and if we aren't being fulfilled, how in the hell are we supposed to deliver results and transformations to our clients and patients? If we are burned out and unhappy in the job that we're doing, but yet and still are still trying to provide it, it's time to pivot. So when we pivot, let's think about doing this strategically, because I get folks all the time. Again, I'm telling you, I ain't talking shit. I ain't judging. So instead of the ebook, I'm gonna give you just a few things that I want you to consider before you jump ship and leave that good job that pays them bills. Okay, so y'all listen up. First thing is explore. Spend 30 to 60 to 90 days exploring the thing that has you so obsessed and wanting to leave. The ER doctor that wants to go and open up their own private practice. How about the engineer that wants to start health coaching online? online? How about the gym owner that says, I want to go online and start doing high ticket courses about hormone balancing? You need to explore, and I want you to be as obsessed with it as you are the thing that you're doing right now. So while you're exploring, that means you're getting education. That means you're shadowing. That means you're getting clarity on a niche or a person that you want to serve. I'm not going to give you a time period on that. I'm just recommending 30 to 60 days because if you can stay interested in it for at least a couple of months, that probably is a good sign that we're on the right track. And then after that, I want you to experiment. What does that mean? How is this thing going to make you money? You've done your exploration, right? You've gotten your education, maybe a few certifications, maybe it took you a year to figure out exactly how you're going to deliver the service that you pivoted into, right? The high ticket programs, the one-to-one care, the online, whatever it is that you're going to do. What I want you to do is now experiment. So this is the phase where you get to the pilot, to the beta testing, where you're bringing in your friends, where you're trying to actively enroll people, where you're trying to prove this concept. This is before you've gotten a lease on anything or taken any loans or anything. So once you've experimented and you can prove that this thing can fly and you're like, well, shit, I got something. I'm cooking with grease now. I got a concept. I have a thought. I have an idea. I have a clinic. I have a business. I have a group. I have something sticky, right? This is when we expand and then we actually really launch the thing and you quit the job. That's when you quit the job. And I'm not saying that this is the exact order because everything that we do, there's timing matters and there's a lesson that is lined up and on the back end of everything that we do. But I'm encouraging you, if you are in the pivot, doc, or you're thinking of leaving, and although maybe you're starting to feel some feelings in the body that don't necessarily align, like, oh my God, it's time for me to do something. I know I'm meant for more. I know the type of medicine I was practicing isn't going to get me the result that I want. Once you get to that point is when you really need to be strategic so that you don't have to suffer and be burned out as you start to launch and grow the new thing. We are meant to be wealthy. We're meant to be abundant. We aren't meant to struggle. We aren't meant to struggle uphill while we're trying to run our businesses. So I am here to kind of pluck that nerve. You know, I love doing that. Be strategic. Align yourself with the people that can help you. I like the rule of 20. If you don't have 20 people that will buy from you, that can help you, that can support you, don't do it. So I want you to share this episode with anyone that you know that is about to undergo the great pivot. I have many episodes that I have coming out on this topic because it keeps coming up so frequently. But I want you to remember that your degree and your job title, that's just something that you did. It's not you. So the pivot is when you finally stop practicing and start stepping into who you are and into your reality and do that and be that. And it goes well beyond any degree, any certification that you ever have. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to this podcast everywhere that podcasts are available. And go holler at me on Instagram at I am Lauren Powers. Check out the show notes and make sure you refer us to a friend. I will see you next week. Peace.